It's not exactly a surprise that The Acolyte has been a massive disaster for Disney Star Wars. Fans, for months and really years, as soon as they heard what this show would be about, that it would be ran by Leslie Headland, former Harvey Weinstein personal assistant, not a lot of people had hope for this, especially when all they could talk about was identity politics. Well, as it turns out, the identity politics and the woke agenda in The Acolyte, although, definitely you can spot it there, it's probably the 5th or 6th in terms of most important problems with this fucking series. It's an embarrassment across the board. And all we've seen happen since this really got put into the public eye is excuse after excuse. Well, it's just review bombing by fans. Actually, we swear The Acolyte's a smash hit, guys. It's a smash hit. It's so good. It got so many viewers. The media tried to gaslight everybody. Disney tried to gaslight everybody into telling that lie. And for some people, if you just read headlines, you don't know what you're talking about. You might even be one of those people that think The Acolyte is a big smash hit. Review bombing on The Acolyte has not stopped it from breaking an impressive Disney Plus viewership record. Well, now that we're actually getting some numbers, it's quite obvious that not only is The Acolyte a catastrophic ratings flop, but it's getting even worse. Take a look at this. The Acolyte viewership declines for a second week in a row. Nearly 60% decline from Ahsoka. Now, the reason the Ahsoka numbers are important is because before The Acolyte, Ahsoka was the lowest rated Disney Star Wars show in terms of viewership. So it's 60% worse than the worst in Star Wars history. Viewership for The Acolyte has declined for the second week in a row, according to data shared by analytics firm Luminate. As reported by Variety, viewership for The Acolyte declined to 232 million minutes watched for this week's show's the 5th episode debut. That's an 11% decline from the previous week, which had been 262 million minutes watched. And just look at this. This is the ratings, okay? These are the ratings for streaming originals, not all streaming, because if it was all streaming, it wouldn't even come close to the top 10 on this list, but it's originals for streaming. Just look at this shit. The Acolyte. $200 million invested into this thing. And you're in 9th place at 232 million minutes watched. And when the comparison to Ahsoka is very interesting, right? When you look at the comparisons to Ahsoka, the show's viewership is also significantly lower than Ahsoka, which aired during the summer of 2023. The show's 2-episode premiere brought in 829 million minutes, as reported by Nielsen, compared to The Acolyte's 210 million, as reported by Luminate. Now, the Luminate thing is newer. We have to wait to see exactly what the numbers are from Nielsen, but most people are expecting it's going to be fairly similar. But the idea that it's that much worse off is very, very telling. It says that not nearly as many people tuned in. We knew that when they were forced to reveal 11 million versus the 14 million in the first 5 days that they got for Ahsoka. But now that we're hearing this, it's also an indication that the people that are giving it a shot, they weren't sticking around. And now, even though you have more episodes available each week, more runtime available each week, it is crashing and burning. The idea that The Acolyte is sitting at 210 million minutes watched is pathetically low. I want to show you what the top 10 Nielsen ratings are. Now, this might be a little complicated to understand because some people don't understand. Nielsen doesn't release streaming ratings until about a month after they occur. Luminate is getting data a little bit earlier, the new Luminate data that we looked at that Variety has been using. But look at what we see right now. Just for the week of May 20th through May 26th, what are the top 10 streaming things? Bridgerton, Grey's Anatomy, Bluey, Young Sheldon, Atlas on Netflix, some original program. Well, Bridgerton's original as well. Bob's Burgers, Family Guy's Evil, Dune Part 2, NCIS. The top 10 on that list is NCIS with 700 million minutes watched. The Acolyte, this week, 210 million minutes watched. If you do go to originals, you can see it does get lower here because there's not anything coming out, or there wasn't at the time that a lot of this happened. House of the Dragon isn't going to be involved in these because these are originals where House of the Dragon airs on HBO. They count that as acquired programming. So you'd have to go to the acquired tab before you're able to find that whenever we do finally get the numbers for House of the Dragon. But there is no way for Disney or the media or anyone to try to spin this other than a failure. Oh, but guess what? They're trying to. The Acolyte viewership suggests negative fan reviews didn't negatively impact interest. Yes, it did. And they're using the same data to say, look, it's in the top 10. The Acolyte's in the top 10 for original programming. What a success. At 200 million minutes watched, at something that is a 60% drop-off from the Ahsoka series, which was previously the biggest flop in Star Wars history on streaming. This is a fucking joke. That they're still trying to gaslight everybody, that the media is still doing their best to defend Disney and Disney Star Wars. You might be one of the 14% of people out there that like the show. And you know what? I disagree with you about a lot of things for a lot of reasons, but if you're one of those 14% out there, good for you. You like the show. It's not a success. It costs $200 million for 8 about 30-minute long episodes of this shit. And you can't even break 200 million minutes watched. It wouldn't even put you close to the fucking top 10. This is an embarrassing failure in every single way.